Louisville converted an onside kick, a surprise one, right after they scored to go up 7-6. And it got called back because Louisville's guy, and this was reviewable, which I didn't know, their guy made contact with the Notre Dame player before the ball went 10 yards.
Yes, that's one of the new rule. New rule is probably 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah. That's what they said. They announced Tirico and who's the color guy on Notre Dame games?
Tony Dungy.
Yeah. They were kind of a little bit taken back, and then the replay guy took them through it, how it was a new rule that could actually be reviewed as a penalty because it's so hard to see in real time.
And Notre Dame was a blessing in disguise.
So you have so you have Clemson, Alabama, 1-2, whichever way you want to look at it. Georgia's still, as much as I made fun, Georgia's still good. You have to think that they might be part of the conversation of getting into the playoff, depending what happens in the SEC championship game. So you have Ohio State. We're giving them the Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
So who's your fourth? Is it a team like Georgia? Is it a team like, I don't know, Miami? No, they lost to Clemson. I mean, is it going to be Oregon?
That's a good question, and it depends on how many games they get in. Right now, the team, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, and I'm only saying this because the Big 12 has had a representative. Oklahoma State is undefeated right now. If they run the table in the Big 12, I don't know how they don't get that.
Well, you're correct if they run the table, but correct me if I'm wrong, they'll probably still lose to Oklahoma.
I don't know. I'm not sold on. I wasn't sold on Oklahoma going into this year. I thought they were going to be better than they are right now. But Oklahoma State,
Have they played TCU at Oklahoma State? I haven't seen their schedule.
No.
So they beat Kansas, West Virginia, and then Tulsa.
Right. So they haven't even played Tech. They haven't played. Look.
Their game against Baylor was postponed. Now they do have Iowa State this weekend. I think that'll be a test.
Great Matt Campbell.
Yes. Then they play Texas and Kansas State and Oklahoma. So they've got a good stretch coming up where they have a chance to prove it.
If they were on the table, I would definitely put them as part of the definite conversation. All right, our telephone number 248-539-9797. After T.O.'s update, we're going in the trenches with Jimmy Jensen.
WXYT FM and WXYT HD1 Detroit. A radio.com sports station. Sports headlines all day, every day. From the Sold by Mike Z Sports Desk, this is 97.1 The Ticket.
This update is driven by Gordon Chevrolet. We open with the Lions, who emerged from the bye week with a solid 34-16 victory over the Jaguars yesterday in Jacksonville. DeAndre Swift provided the power for Detroit's offensive attack on Sunday as he ran for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. Next up for the Lions, they'll face the 1-5 Falcons on Sunday in Atlanta. The Falcons picked up their first win of the season yesterday by going on the road and blowing out Minnesota 40-23. Other finals of interest from Sunday. San Francisco beats the LA Rams 24-16. Tampa Bay crushes Green Bay 38-10. Chicago dumps Carolina 23-16. By the way, with that victory, the Bears at 5-1 are the new leaders in the NFC North. The Los Angeles Dodgers advanced to the World Series thanks to a 4-3 win over the Atlanta Braves in last night's Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Cody Bellinger was the hero of that contest. It was his solo home run in the bottom of the 7th inning off Braves reliever Chris Martin. It turns out to be the game-winning hit for the Dodgers.
I felt comfortable against him, and I just tried to have my same approach. He threw me some good pitches. I just tried to foul some of those out that I didn't see too well, and I saw one that I could drive, and I just tried to put a good swing on it.
By the way, Bellinger would stay in that game despite injuring his right shoulder, celebrating that home run. Teammate Kiki Hernandez. Despite not playing, Michigan moves up from number 19 to number 18 in the latest AP Top 25 college football poll, which was released yesterday. There are 4 other Big Ten teams besides the Wolverines in this week's rankings. Ohio State's at number 5, Penn State's at number 8, Wisconsin's at number 14, and Minnesota, Michigan's opponent for their season opener on Saturday night, who check in at number 21. From the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Tony Ortiz. For more, stay tuned to 97.1 The Ticket and radio.com.
In the trenches with John Jansen.
All right, before we get to Mr. Jansen, we sort of have some breaking news here. 97.1 The Ticket breaking news is powered by radio.com, brought to you by Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit. The New York Post is reporting in an exclusive. This is kind of sad. I didn't realize he was even this old, but Doc Emmerich is retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the greats of broadcasting, the voice of the National Hockey League. He's done it. He's been doing hockey play-by-play for about 50 years. He is retiring. Still lives here in Michigan. Just a great guy, and good luck in your retirement, Doc.
Enjoy it.
One of the best. He's just a brilliant, brilliant hockey announcer, and he will be missed. All right, that's it. We're back in the trenches.
So, and again, I want to make sure that, Gov, you're ready for this because you brought this up. And I wasn't going to go here during this segment, but I'm going to start here and talk about DeAndre Swift and some of the things that we saw yesterday. I'll ask both of you guys this. You brought up, Gov, the fact that he missed the game-winning catch against Chicago. And we all know that he's a rookie. That was his first NFL game. What do we normally have leading up to the NFL season?
Preseason.
We got a preseason.
Training camp, OTAs, all that stuff.
All of that stuff. And I think the one class this year that is going to suffer, and we've seen some great rookie performances, but we haven't seen a lot of rookies get a lot of time, especially up front on the O&D lines. And those that we have seen, like Turner Brown, hasn't played very well. Well, he didn't get any preseason games. DeAndre Swift didn't get any preseason games. We just finished our first 4 games with a bye week. That is generally your preseason. So you come out of that.
The Giants benched their tackle.
Yeah,
The rookie
the
tackle.
rookie tackle. Is it Johnson? I can't remember his last name. Thomas, yes. Which I actually thought was a good pick at that time.
Yeah, he still might be.
Out of Georgia. But this is, to me, where we should start seeing DeAndre Swift take a step forward. And that's exactly what we saw yesterday. And now the question is, what we saw yesterday, is it fool's gold or is it real? And the Lions are right now 2-3. Their offensive and defensive lines, we talked about this on Friday. I talked about it in the trenches, and we talked about it with Brock Heward, is the fact that we haven't seen an offensive or a defensive line come off the football. The one thing that I saw yesterday, and it was true from the first snap to the last snap, the offensive line and the defensive line fired off the football. They were in attack mode. Now, was that because they heard reports that maybe their coach's job was on the line? I'm sure that probably played into it. Maybe their jobs are on the line. But offensively, you get Frank Ragnow, who was questionable, who plays in that game. I thought that was the key to that game. Offensively, having him back because they played different combinations up front. All 8 offensive linemen that were active played in that game.
Which was kind of weird. There was a time, I know it was hot and all that stuff, and some of the Lions obviously needed IVs and had dehydration, which I don't know if that's just bad conditioning and they don't do enough Gatorade during the week. That said, I don't know that. But I found it weird that there was a stretch where there was no Jonah Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, and again, hopefully today we get more answers as to why that is, because I thought he played well. I thought Vaitai. And again, a guy changing positions, didn't have preseason. You know, he's not a rookie, but he is moving from tackle to guard. I thought yesterday, when I watched his hand placement and his ability to come off the football and that long run that DeAndre Swift had, the 54-yarder, I think it was, Vaitai walked his guy off the ball. It was beautiful. Head right down the middle, hands on the steering wheel, took him outside, and then DeAndre Swift ran through there. And quite honestly, if DeAndre Swift, again, he's still learning. If he just accelerates at the end there, probably picks up another 5, maybe 10 yards instead of turning his back and taking the hit and saying, "Oh, I'm down." I was a little disappointed in that.
He
But
has a burst that I haven't seen in a Lions running back in a long, long time.
very much so.
Where he can just accelerate like nothing. Here, John, so, okay, on the offensive line, yes, they played good. You have to give them credit. Jacksonville's defensive line was banked up, and at one point, Brock Heward said they had guys off the street that were playing. So I want to see it again. And then likewise with Swift, although I am more encouraged than I was with Carry-On, This game in general reminds me of when they went to Miami and won a couple years ago, and Carrion had that big run, and he like, we finally got a running back. Well, look how that turned out. So I don't want to be negative, Nancy. I just want to see it next week again.
And that's exactly what you got to do. We've seen it once, so we know that they can do it. Now we need to see it again. They need to take this and build confidence. I don't care if it was Jacksonville. I don't care if it was the Jets. I don't care. You put it up against any team. Once you do it once, you start to build some confidence. Now that offensive line, knowing that they have some interchangeable parts, knowing that, hey, if we create some room for DeAndre Swift, and DeAndre Swift, there was a couple of runs where there was nothing there. And he did what Adrian Peterson has done. He bounced outside and gained yardage. This is why I think Adrian Peterson was a great asset and a great signing at the beginning, not just for his production, but to show DeAndre Swift particularly how to be successful when there's nothing there.
Swift's more physical with the tackles, like in the short yardage, than I thought he was going to be. Like when they get the ball, down, and he can score touchdowns as he has. By the way, your point of the running backs, I was just looking up one of them. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is done well. I didn't see what he did yesterday, but Dobbins yesterday, 9 rushes, 28 yards.
Yeah, and again, these guys just need some time to develop their ability to read NFL defenses, NFL speed. And before we go, why was the defense so successful at stopping the run? When you look and you say, okay, well, against New Orleans, Latavius Murray was able to cut back. This week, we got penetration front side from the defense, which I thought was a thing of beauty. To see somebody with the Honolulu silver and blue in the backfield was great. But all of a sudden, hey, you allow that running back to cut back. What happens against New Orleans? Latavius Murray goes for 10, 15, 20 yards. And you see that all season long. This week, Trey Flowers did a tremendous job of keeping discipline and not pursuing, not trying to get in on the tackle. These guys, they don't want to be the laughing stock of the NFL. Right. They don't want to be last in rushing. I thought Trey Flowers, if you watch the second possession from Jacksonville, it was the first or second play, penetration on the front side by the Lions defense created a cutback that Robinson cuts back, and Trey Flowers is there to make the tackle. Discipline, along with an aggressive attack, is what will be successful, and that is sustainable. Now, we'll see this week if they can do it against one of the NFL's elite running backs. But that, to me, is the signal as to why this defense was successful. They were able to get more pressure on Gardner Minshew, and if there is one thing that I thought they could have done better, Gardner Minshew came into this game with having been sacked 16 times. The Lions only got him once. They did put pressure on him, and Trey Flowers did have a sack fumble, but they only got one sack.
Right.
They got him off. His timing was off because the pressure was on him.
That's just as important.
It is. But I still want to see that quarterback on his back.
I know.
With the ball more often.
I agree. They have to get pressure, and they did. Now, some of it, the coverage was in some cases good.
Yes.
But the two have to work. And the linebackers actually, for the first time, played pretty damn well.
But that's what happens when you're an attacking front. Now your linebackers aren't trying to make plays 3 or 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They're not trying to make plays where they're guessing which way do I go to be there when the running back gets there, because you're going to guess wrong. They didn't have to guess. All they had to do was fill the gap that they saw. They filled it. Jamie Collins did a great job. We also talk about Tracy Walker, Jeff Okudah. Great in run support. We need to see more tackles by linebackers in doing exactly what they do. Wreak havoc up front with penetration and allow those linebackers to make plays at the line of scrimmage.
You think Jerron Kearse, you think he was amped to play because he was out the first 4 games with a suspension?
Well, there's no question.
He took a stupid late hit on the sidelines that could have gone either way, but he was right there. He was really physical.
Yeah, and those, again, when that physical mentality, offensively and defensively up front, that will carry over. That will translate to playing against better teams. Now, we need to see it in the second time, that was the first time all season long I saw a defensive lineman with their head snapped back because the Detroit offensive line was coming off the ball. It was the first time I saw a defensive lineman for the Lions in the backfield, creating penetration, making that running back make a cut before he gets to the line of scrimmage.
Now, unfortunately, we haven't seen Julian Okwara really citing it. Romeo actually was involved a little bit. So
He was, and hopefully, as they find ways to put pressure on quarterbacks, you're going to get some of those guys get more time that are athletic pass rush type guys.
All right, that's this week's version of Postgame in the Trenches with John Jansen. You're on 97.1 The Ticket.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
From the WWJ AM 950 Traffic Center, this report brought to you by Comcast Business. Accident free in your drive this morning, although traffic volumes are starting to build for a couple of work zones. 696 and 75 interchanges also on the Southfield Freeway approaching Michigan Avenue. Today, businesses are starting to bounce back, but what if we could do better than that? What if you could adapt and find new ways to succeed with new customers? Well, Comcast Business wants to help you do just that. Learn how you can not just bounce back, but bounce forward at ComcastBusiness.com. I'm Michelle Pena with traffic.